Welcome to the Default Profitable Podcast. You're listening to the next episode, and today we're going to focus on what it takes to start, run, and grow multiple businesses. We'll have some actual stories from a real business owner. I'm your host, Matt Nettleton, and today my guest is Dan Hanrahan. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Matt. Happy to be here. Appreciate what you're doing.
No problem. So we've known each other for a lot of years, but why don't we do this? Why don't we start with kind of give everybody, an introduction to you and maybe where you are right now.
Yeah, sure. So Dan Hanrahan, a longtime Hoosier, got 3 kids, kind of teenage years. And as far as the business side of things, I started my career in recruiting with I know you interviewed Ryan Hasbrook on the show in the past, Nate 11 Group. I was the first employee and get to watch that company over 10 years grow to hundreds of employees. And I think one of Indy's best employers. After recruiting, I started a couple of marketing tech software companies. One, I Go Digital with Eric Tobias. We eventually sold that to ExactTarget. And the second called Sigster Matt. I know we talked about that in the past. Again, another marketing tech company for about 5 years. And then I, in 2019, kind of launched a career as I wanted to really dig into Indianapolis and local solutions. I started home services companies, patios, dumpsters, hardscapes, landscapes under the brand Holster. And that all sort of led to NeighborServe, where I am today, which is sort of my capstone.
All right. So what was it? I mean, recruiting to NeighborServe is a big jump.
It is.
What was it that led you to start NeighborServe?
Yeah, if I'm not a giant Steve Jobs fan, but he said something really intelligent. I thought that made sense. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. And everything, the work will always show you the way, right? So recruiting, I just happened to be doing tech recruiting. And so I got interested in software. I didn't know anything about code and started software companies. And from there, I grew up building retaining walls. As I got older, my kids got older. I wanted to do things that were local. I wanted to run profitable businesses that could stand on their own legs as opposed to relying on investment. And I wanted to do things that were just more visceral, that my kids and my wife could understand. And so I kind of got back to my roots. I thought it would be really easy. Naively, Matt, I thought it would be really easy to find customers in home services after all the smart marketing and tech people that I knew, right? I thought it would be easy to go from the best, not the best, from a average MarTech person, marketing technology person. I thought it'd be really easy to be the best mulch technology person. It was hard as hell. And I think I have so much respect for software engineers because I can't write engineering code. And I have so much respect for home services companies because they're hard to build. And after doing it for 4 years, I realized that there had to be a better way for really, really good local companies that deliver great service in their communities to get found. When you Google, you find the best advertiser or marketer, right? That's who Google surfaces at the top of their results, not the best locally owned plumber or electrician or remodeler or mower or whatever the heck it is you want. And so while I think Google is great and reviews on Google, and there's certain things that are fantastic, we rely on it a ton. Any of those national sort of software approaches don't make it easy for me to hire the right person I need for my house. And so again, all those things together just, it's a bit of recruiting and matching contractors to homes. It's a bit of tech in terms of simplifying the process. It's a bit of home services because I care deeply about the contractor. So again, it's just connecting the dots backwards is a little easier, but it's a local business here in Indy that helps people take care of their homes.
All right. So you said something that really interested me, and we kind of talked about it before I turned the recording on, but you said you wanted to start a profitable company.
I like the name of your podcast, right? It makes sense. When 811 Group, unsexy staffing industry, like that's where I started, but it was profitable and there were processes and they promoted from within and took their best people and put them in the next spot. In over 25 years, right, that company's approaching $1 billion in top line revenue without any outside investment. That's had a profound impact on the employees there. There's another business in Indianapolis called Rehab Medical, run by Pat McGinley. There's all these examples of businesses that have run for 25 years and just grind it out, do things the right way, hire great people, and you win. Software is fascinating, and I learned a ton, and I would go do it again. But it's definitely a young person's game, you're constantly raising money and growing top line revenue, and then going out and raising the next round. But you're not running profitably. And that means your business is outside of your control. it's necessary because speed matters a lot in that world, in a pace of like furious innovation. But I do think that a lot of things have changed, and you can have tech enabled profitable services companies where the service funds what you need to go build. And tech is a little bit easier to launch these days than it was maybe 5 years ago, even. And so, yeah, I think being profitable, not it's kind of a, people look at it as a greedy word. It's not that. It's just that it allows you to be in control of your business, so you can make the right choices for the people and the company and your customers. And there's no sort of outside influence to go faster, say yes to things that maybe you wouldn't have said to otherwise. So yeah, that's, as I gotten older, like the software game is great. I love it. I'm grateful for it. But it's just, I'm trying to focus my time on the way that 90% of the world runs their companies.
And that is in fact why I started the podcast, because I struggle when I talk to the tech people and they're like, hey, we're going to find an investor, we're going to lose their money. We're going to find the next investor, we're going to lose their money. We're going to find the third investor, then we're going to sell the company. We're all going to be rich. And a majority of my clients, at probably a third tech and a third contractors, they have that clash because the contractors are never looking for VC money. They're how many jobs can we do this week to pay our people so that we can hire one more person next week and do more jobs next week?
I think home services, Matt, is really fascinating. It's hard to, in a world where you can only grow as fast as your service, that means you have to hire really, really good people, and they only get good over time. And so I think
Right.
in home services, the model is deliver incredible service, get word of mouth referrals, and grow at 10 to 20% a year over a long period of time, and you can have a fantastic outcome. But I think when I was looking for faster, more exciting ways to go about my career, and I learned a ton in that world. But I really admire those people that have had the patience to build a profitable business by delivering great service over a long period of time.
Yeah, that is super, super important. So if you think back to when let's just go to Holster, because I think that's your real first traditional type of non-software business. You'd already had a pretty good career. You've seen 2 rocket ships take off. You'd had a couple of businesses acquired.
Mm-hmm.
You start Holster, which is a physical local presence business.
Yes.
What do you wish you knew when you started that? What would have helped for you to know, even though you had all that experience?
That's a great question. I think a dose of humility in terms of what it would really take to grow those companies. There were a couple things I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn how to market directly to consumers, a B2C or sell directly to consumers business, where you can't, the margins where we started in mulch delivery and firewood delivery, right? Push a button and mulch your firewood shows up is how those companies started. And so, that's a really hard world. You can't do hand-to-hand combat in sales. So people have to find you. And what really matters? Well, if you talk about yourself, nobody cares. That's kind of a core philosophy that I have. And so we went to fundraisers and churches and schools and whatever. And we said, hey, we'll give money back to you. Just share this link. If anybody clicks and orders, then we'll give the money back to the business. We didn't make any money in mulch and firewood, but what we had was thousands of customers now where we could build higher ticket items that, if you want a patio, if you want a landscape redesign, if you, whatever, where they're more profitable businesses, but our marketing, since our way to build up a customer base and then go cross sell, we had some loss leaders and we relied on trust. And I think that's probably the most important thing is we couldn't Google our way out of this. We couldn't do the digital tricks and we didn't have the budgets to do that. And so it's just much more hand to hand, door to door, home shows, which is going on in Indianapolis this week. There's no way to hack it. It's just a long-term game, a 10 to 20% growth. And I have a lot of respect for the businesses that have done that well. Those companies are still operating, awesome business owners running each of those divisions. And NeighborServe, right? Holster's one of our 50 plus locally owned contractors that we serve.
So let's talk about NeighborServe. So you start Holster, you figure out, hey, this is actually a grind it out, do the work business. And then you kind of put 2 and 2 together and you come up with NeighborServe. Now I'm a NeighborServe client and I've used NeighborServe.
Yes, I love it.
But why don't you explain what NeighborServe does and why it's important?
Sure. So we've kind of flipped a traditional model on its head, right? Of how to take care of your home. It's hard, right? And Matt, you've called plumbers and electricians and whatever. And how do you find them? You get on Google, you run searches, you put posts on Facebook, you ask your friends. It's a total pain. So we've gone out and we've pre-vetted. Like, this is the big difference. We talked to, I don't know, 400 or 500 contractors last year. We approved 50 that we recommend to homeowners in Indianapolis. So if you need a remodeler, a landscaper, a mower, a pool company, anything, we're not going to show you the highest advertiser, which is what happens today, because a lot of the companies where you go to find those things are national software companies, and the people that pay those bills are the franchises, the national companies, the Mr. Quicks of the world, right? Not to pick on anyone in particular, but that's not who I want coming to my house if I have an issue. I want to hire the second generation HVAC company. I want to call HomeSense. I want to call Love HVAC. Guys whose owners look their employees in the eyes every day. Those employees have been there a long time. They've been taking care of customers. We see them at the ball game, or when we drop our kids off at school. So if something goes wrong, they're going to take care of you. That's the company I want to hire, and that's the company that's really hard to find. So in its essence, we help homeowners care for their homes in Indianapolis. We take a really, really local, a very curated, and a very hands-on approach. We also go to the home. We'll catalog everything in the house, number of windows, HVAC, serial numbers. So when anything goes wrong, you can call us, and we already know what's going on, and we can kind of use the recruiter in us to match you with the right pro for the problem. And so again, it's just we get to take care of our friends and our family. We get to boost entrepreneurs that are based in Indianapolis. It's a hell of a lot of fun.
And so how long has NeighborServe been around?
I was playing with it at Holster. I started putting other local companies on my Holster website because I loved them so much, and it just got to be confusing. So we started our website January 2024. We've been around a year. We served about 300 homes, 750 projects, $1 million in service revenue for local companies in year one. So it's still, we're really proud of those numbers, but they're really small, and there's so much opportunity to continue to grow. So we got 5 employees, and based in Broad Ripple, serving Indy and surrounding counties.
Now, it's interesting. You said that you interviewed 500 contractors and approved how many?
At least. And that's something I do. Like, that's something that I hold dear, because if we screw that up, if we get that wrong, it all falls apart. So yeah, at least 500 folks to get to 50. And we've got a process. You can go to NeighborServe.com/vetting. We want to see companies that are 51% Indiana owned. We want to know the tenure of your employees. We want to know, we're going to look at all your reviews, and all the contractors are referred to us either through our neighbor clients or through other contractors. It's almost like a co-op. Think about a bunch of small farmers that get together and have a farmer's market so you can get better food. These guys are all kicking ass with neighbors, and then at the end of the day, they're helping each other as well, because they have lots of the same challenges.
I love that. So when you look at the impact of a small business like yours,
yeah,
right, and then you compare it to Salesforce or Oracle or IBM or Google, what is it? And this is fun for me because it's the reason I like doing this kind of stuff. But what is it that makes you attracted to the small business rather than, taking that Salesforce gig and living in Palo Alto and,
That's a great question. I don't think the opportunity for impact is any less. And that's a bold statement, right? Salesforce is, people touch that. I don't know how many millions of people touch that every day. That said, I think the time is different, right? So in 25 years, should NeighborServe be running our same local playbook in Cincinnati and, 50 other cities? Probably, but we're not going to roll out to 20 cities next year. And so we're building a lasting business centered in Indianapolis, focused on Indianapolis. We want to deliver incredible service. Have so many referrals coming in that Indianapolis is just rock solid. And I want to take my best employee that maybe, have his mom and dad in Cincinnati or her mom and dad in Fort Wayne. And we want to send them out to that market with all the support from Indianapolis to go curate a great local experience in their city. And so I think the difference is just time. I care deeply about Indianapolis. That 25-year plan is not something I will be leading. I'm a down into the right guy, Matt. I'm an entrepreneur. I love early stage stuff. Everybody involved in this business knows that I will be working on the new things. And as we get to process and scale, somebody else will run this company so that it has the opportunity to go where it should go without me in the chaos I create, holding it back. So that would mean a lot to me. I think the opportunity to impact to me starts in my neighborhood, with my family, with my friends, and then it circles out into the north side of Indianapolis and Indianapolis as a whole, and then the adjacent cities. So I think that as opposed to what I did last time around, which was let's go really big, really fast, let's just start in our neighborhood and make it better and then grow out from there. And I think we can make a profound impact, although it may take 25 years to hit that kind of scale.
Yeah. So when somebody comes to you, and we all had this happen because we're small business owners. When somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I work for the megacorp, and I'm thinking about getting off on my own, doing my own thing," what do you tell them? How do you handle that conversation?
I have it at least twice a week. I always take the call. I love it, and I don't tell anybody what I would do. I want to understand why you're feeling like you are, and I can share my experience. Like, what are you optimizing for in your life? Like, how much time are you willing to put into something per week? Over what duration and what outcome do you want? And then go find a business or start a business or buy a business or whatever that sort of matches with that stuff. Don't, but you got to start with yourself and your family and figure out what in the heck you want. But yeah, whether it's tech or non-tech or, a national company or startup or buying something, like there's a million paths to it. And I'm always happy to share my experience, but the recruiter in me knows that you're not here to do what I did. I got to understand who the hell you are and what you want, and then try to make, the recruiter in me, like that natural instinct to want to connect two people that can help each other and get the hell out of the way. It's fundamental. And I just enjoy it. I think people are wired that way. To do that without expecting anything back over the long run, I think the most productive time you can spend.
All right. So you've been in the ground floor for a number of businesses. You've started up a whole bunch. I want you to go back and 2025 Dan gets to talk to 2019 Dan the night before you start Holster, right? And there's so many different things you can do, but what is the most important thing you should do first? If you say, "Hey, listen, it all works out, but do this one thing first." What's the one thing a business owner should do first?
Call like early. As soon as you think you have something you want to spend your time on, call 20 customers, potential customers. Hey, find 10 people and ask them, and then find 10 people you don't know and ask them. And if it's still worthwhile, go for it. Like I would get on LinkedIn and I'd find people I didn't know and I'd be like, "Listen, you built something pretty cool. I think we might be able to help. I haven't started anything yet. Can I just have a 10-minute call?" But I don't need coffee because I don't know if you want to talk to me or we're going to be able to help each other. I just want a 10-minute call and I just need help. So ask for help, be vulnerable, and talk to 20 customers. 10 people they're going to maybe tell you what you want to hear because they like you. And then 10 people you don't know, just get 10 meetings. Half a day of work you can schedule, 10-minute calls. So yeah, just you got to get out there and just start doing the work, right? Build a deck. You can do a million things without quitting your job. Just start doing the work and the work will show you the way.
Well, it's interesting. So you threw that little phrase out. There's a million things you can do without quitting your job. And it is amazing to me the number of people who think the only way they can start something is if they stop something.
Right. And it doesn't have to be like, I get it, especially with families and kids. It's, and having time for yourself, taking care of yourself. Like, it's hard. But if you're just naturally curious and you follow your instincts, Matt, you talk to so many business owners and help so many sales teams. And at the end of the day, it's relationships. And if your relationships are strong, then people will help. That's why Indy's great. That's why I don't want to be in Palo Alto, right? I know I've got 46 years married in Indianapolis relationships. I'm an old man, and it's nice to be able to give and get help when you need it.
And one of the things that I'll say about Indianapolis is when you say, reach out to somebody that's built something cool, there's a pretty good chance they'll talk to you, even if they don't know you.
Absolutely. Yeah. We all have a ton of help along the way. Nobody has anything interesting on their own. Yeah. And I think most people around here are willing to take it. Again, if you're going to ask for an hour lunch or whatever, that's a little different. But incrementally working your way up through a 5 or 10-minute call, and if it goes well, it's naturally going to turn into something else.
Yep, that's great. Any other tips? Any other tips you would give to an aspiring owner, a new owner?
There just aren't shortcuts. Just focus. get better every day. But the things that I've screwed up, Matt, when I look backwards, because I lost focus. If I go back to just do what's right in front of you and do it really, really well. Take everything else and it's maybe 10% of your time, and you're trying to find the next thing to put in your bucket. Whenever I've tried to extend, like when a customer calls and wants to spend a lot of money with you, saying no sometimes is the best way to make that work. When I've said yes early, and then it takes my whole team and they're distracted, and we may do it well, we may screw it up, but our business suffers. If we say no, you know what, I'm not quite ready for that yet. Here's why. Tell me why it's important to you. I want to learn. I'm going to go away. I'm going to do these 5 things, and I'm going to call you back. And when you call them back, they're like, oh man, this guy's probably honest because he told me no last time. I think he's ready. So it just sets the stage for success. So focus, saying no, and just, you got to try new things, but it's 10% of your time, and it shouldn't require your entire team effort, no matter how big the check size is.
Yes, that is, we call those elephant prospects, and they have a tendency to stomp the village to death.
I haven't heard that. I dig it. I like that.
All right. Well, that's a quick 20 minutes.
Yeah. Time flies with you, Matt. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I want to remind everybody that they can find resources and connection and information to Dan over at the show notes at defaultprofitable.com. And if you're listening to this, there's 3 ways you can help us. You can, leave a review for the podcast. You can hit subscribe, or you can share an episode. So Dan, I want to thank you for being a guest.
Thanks for all you're doing, Matt. The show's awesome.
No problem. And we'll be back next week with another episode of Default Profitable. Until then, stay focused, keep working, stay profitable.